Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Know It Alls Talk Ball podcast. It's Juan. It's Jason. Coming back to you with our UCL Champions League, whatever you want to call it, our roundup of the first leg of the round of 16 games. And of course, we're going to have great takes because Jason is completely free on Tuesdays and Wednesdays since United play on Thursdays.
Yeah.
So
I was like, where are you going with this?
So since you have, all the takes, how about we start with what we saw some Champions League romantic nights. On Valentine's Day, the 14th of February, the Champions League returned to our home screens. Everybody was pumped about one game in particular, but let's start with the other game. Milan Spurs.
Yeah, so obviously this is the other game because it has Spurs in it. So Milan Spurs, and it was a Milan Spurs game. I think it ended up being 1-0 to Milan, and I think this kind of just proves how average Spurs are.
Yeah.
Milan's form going into this, right? They had lost 3 of their last 4. Won 4-0 against Lazio. They lost 4-0. That's a confusing way to phrase that, but they lost 1 game against Lazio 4-0.
Right.
And then they lost 5-2 against Sassuolo.
Yeah.
And then they chucked down another loss 1-0 against Inter the next week, and then went and beat Tottenham. So, and unfortunately, I didn't get to watch this game, but I don't think I missed much. There were 20 combined shots for both teams, so it seems like there wasn't a whole lot of goal mouth action. With the highlights that I did see, because I don't know if it's UEFA or whoever strikes down every decent highlights that is on the internet. Thanks for that. So you get these dumb 2-minute highlights.
I miss the days where we had music compilations of players like just banging in hat tricks and stuff for free.
But from what I could see on the highlights that I did see and the stats that I did read as well, Milan, probably the better team and probably created the better chances. I think Spurs had more of the ball and more of the half chances, but never really threatened fully in front of goal. Kulusevski had a bad game. Son was average. And Kane, he can't do it all on his own at the end of the day.
I think he hit the bar on a chance, maybe if I'm not wrong.
Yes, very. I think it was super close to the goal. That was probably their clearest cut chance. And made I think the keeper made a great save onto the bar, if I'm not wrong. Couldn't finish it. Rafael Leao was a standout performer, I think, and I think he really needs to be he already is regarded as sort of a really big up-and-coming star.
I think he needs to start starting more consistently because Pioli doesn't seem to trust him all the time, although clearly he's probably your most dangerous winger down that side.
Sure.
I thought Brahim Diaz had a pretty decent game. He scored
goal,
as well. Yeah. Weird header, weird sequence of play that led to the goal. I thought Romero, despite often being very good for Spurs, wasn't that good in this game, at least from what I was able to see. Even the goal is, it's not really completely his fault, but he does let Teo Hernandez kind of body him off the ball and he can whip it in. But there is still all to play for heading into London.
Exactly.
It's not like the tie is dead. I think this result actually kind of makes it more intriguing because I think I would have expected Spurs to go, considering Milan's form that you highlighted. I would have expected Spurs to go into the San Siro, maybe win 2-0, even though they're not in exactly flying, but just because they're the better team. And the 1-0 for Milan does keep it intriguing.
Are they the better team though?
I would argue probably Milan now they're kind of getting on a streak of 1-0 victories.
I think is Milan 4th in Serie A?
Well, they're I think that they're there about. They play Atalanta this weekend, which is a huge game for Champions League.
So it's 4th in the Prem against 4th in
Serie A.
Serie A. So you would expect that 4th in the Prem would be better, but
supposedly, and that is something we can talk about as a whole without going off on our tangents that we like to. The Premier League has been extremely disappointing if you think about it.
And the Champions
Not
League
a single team won, despite all the heavy investment that all these teams have compared to the teams they're playing.
Let's try not to go into this, but then again, you do have Liverpool and Chelsea who are having shocking seasons.
Yes, but even if they're in bad form, that the investment is still there, you
That's
know,
true.
and you would expect that despite them, because in the Premier League, you would maybe think it balances out. If every team is spending 50 to 100 every window, but in the Champions League, it doesn't. But anyways,
let's make a prediction.
Make a prediction for Spurs Milan.
So
what do you
Spurs
have?
Milan. I'm gonna go aggregate score 2-1 in the end. So I think it's gonna be a 1-1 draw in the second leg.
You think so? So you think Milan pull this through?
I think
and
Milan
they knock
will
Spurs
pull
out?
through. Yeah, I don't think Spurs have the fight in them this year. They're just so meh. And I'll say this every week that I'm on this podcast.
Yeah, and every
you know?
week I'll agree with you and I'll still back them. I'm going to
Yeah.
go 2-0 Spurs. I
Okay.
think they're going to win back home in the stadium, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium,
Yeah.
right? That's the name.
That is.
Let's move on to that big marquee matchup that everyone was super excited to watch. And it was PSG Bayern, the two scarves we got up here, you know, trying to improve the set for everyone's viewing experience. And the game honestly didn't really live up to the hype. I thought that we were going to watch a crazy game.
First 20 minutes, it was pretty helter-skelter. Like everyone
Yeah.
everyone was really going after the ball. It was high intensity. And it looked like Bayern they were by far the better team. And I think, but that was kind of exacerbated by the fact that PSG was so bad in that
So
first
bad.
half.
And I think
first half,
that
at
was
least,
the key. I know that there were a lot of players injured, and it's even come out that Gaultier said that Mbappe shouldn't have even played the 20 odd minutes that he played due to fitness concerns. But I thought setting them up in a weird 4-4-2 with a 16-year-old center midfielder outright, which I'm not going to blame a 16-year-old who I think became the youngest Champions League player ever in the knockout stages. Zaire, what is his name? Zaire Emery, 16 years old for PSG. He looked completely out of place. Like, he did make a few nice plays here and there, but you could see that Messi would pass him the ball and Zaire would either give it away or pass it back.
And he came off, was it Vitinha?
Vitinha, and the team
Yeah.
immediately picked it up.
Once the changes were made, it was
It was switched.
PSG's.
Yeah, it was once they switched back to that 3 at the back that at the start of the season was working so well for them that everyone was like, wow, Gaultier really has this team clicking like we all thought they would click. It was once that change at 3 at the back came that, and Mbappe, let's be honest, like Mbappe is right now, if you need a game to just change on a dime, you bring that guy on.
His pace is just. It's just unparalleled. Like he just has, and actually I see a little bit of him in Rashford's play recently as well. He's so quick in that step away with the ball that you blink and he's gone.
But Rashford played that Tuesday or no? Rashford was at home, right? Okay, I'm kidding. I'll stop with the Tuesday night jokes. But I see what you mean.
I mean, if we're gonna do this, like we just beat Barcelona. You guys drew against Leipzig. Yeah.
But Leipzig is a Champions League team. Barcelona.
Oh my God!
not.
Stop. Yes, they were a Champions League team.
They were.
Yeah,
that's true. But anyways, back. With Mbappe in, it just was a completely different game. Unlucky that the goal was ruled offside. Those are the rules, but it was very
two goals
close.
Offside.
2 goals offside.
The first one was
hell off. Yeah. But if we just move on to Bayern, I thought that they kind of have this issue that City has, and I don't know if it's because they're so used to it in the Bundesliga that they kind of just play around with their food. They don't really go for the killer blow. And I don't want to be that reporter or that guy that says, if they had Lewandowski, they would have been up 3-0. But that's probably the truth. I thought that in the first half, they controlled the game quite well, especially because PSG, like you said, looked so bad. But they just couldn't really find the rhythm or find a way to break through. And Choupo-Moting was dropping back a bit for link-up play, but it wasn't really working. You could see that most of their balls were swinging from fullback to fullback. They were playing 3 at the back, and it was going from Cancelo all the way to the other side to Pavard, and then the goal was Alphonso Davies to the other wingback to Coman.
Well, I mean, if I'm being honest, Bayern only impressed me for the first 20 minutes of that game. Yeah. They really didn't offer that much goal-mouth threat for the rest of the game, No. And then once the changes were made by PSG, they looked vulnerable in defense as well. Yeah. So I think the second leg is going to be even more interesting than the first.
Yeah.
What have you got going down?
So I think that, like you said, it's going to be more even. No Pavard for PSG, but for Bayern, sorry, but PSG is going to be fully fit. If they play that three at the back, I think that the game is going to finish. What did I put? So I put 3-1 after extra time. I think it's going to be PSG 2-1 at full time, sending it to extra time, and then Mbappe scores one more goal to keep proving to the world that he always does it when the occasion beckons. And they're going to win 3-2 on aggregate.
Very precise prediction. I like it. I like it.
That's. I think PSG go through.
Yeah, what am I going to go for this one? I reckon it's going to be 2-2 Bayern go through.
On penalties?
No, on just in normal time.
2-2. Oh, 2-2. Yeah. Right. Sorry. Yeah,
sorry,
not on aggregate. Oh, yeah. I was like, there's no away goal.
So that would make it a 3-2.
3-2 on aggregate. Yeah. Could happen. Let's move on. Because I feel like we took so much time to talk about that.
I think we've got to speed this up.
Yeah, we got to speed this up a bit if we want to get through all of them. Let's go more quick fire. What was the next game that you covered on the 15th? So last week, Wednesday's game.
Was that Dortmund-Chelsea?
Yes.
It was, yeah. Anyway, Dortmund-Chelsea, 1-0 Dortmund. Chelsea probably the better team in the whole grand scheme of things, but undone by an incredible goal by Adeyemi. And this kid, I've only seen him play a few times, but every time he has played, he was really good in the Klassiker as well. Against Bayern was making a lot of headway.
He's so fast.
He's so quick, and he's got really good feet as well. And the composure to go around the keeper
Slotted
as well.
On a Champions League night.
Yeah, it was a great goal.
But you're happy for him. At least I'm happy for him. He's had a tough, he came in maybe with quite high expectations based on what he did at Salzburg, and coming in kind of to replace Haaland, Sancho, all this production that they've seen. And he hasn't really hit the ground running, but that was a huge goal to sort of get the fans on their side, maybe give him some confidence.
Yeah, I think as well he's one of those players that you might not see his production as massively portrayed in the stats like you do with Haaland. It's just stats,
absolutely.
And I feel like Sancho as well, you kind of see that he was at Dortmund and he did great numbers.
Yeah.
But since he's come to United, and I said this as a worry when we signed him as well, I was like, I've seen him play. Yes, he has great numbers, but I don't know how well he's going to do in the Prem. And, he hasn't done, he's still a good player, but, I think... Yes, there's a tendency to sort of look just at the stats, but when I look at Adeyemi, I see a really good player, and someone who can offer a lot to a lot of teams.
And he rinsed the $120 million man. Enzo Fernandez completely rinsed him. To be fair, why is Graham Potter leaving Enzo Fernandez as the last man on defense when you have like Reece James, maybe like one of the quickest fullbacks in all of football, to defend it? No idea. But like you said, I thought Chelsea could maybe feel a bit hard done. They had a few chances, but that's been kind of the story of Chelsea. I mean, they also haven't played well for the majority of games, but the games that they do play well, they still can't seem to score a goal.
They have, I don't know what their goal difference is, but they have a negative XG in the Prem this year.
Really? Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Which is, they just can't seem to either attack or defend at the moment. They're just, and I was looking at their form as well, and my God, it is bad.
What's the last time they won? Like, they have, one win in 10 or something like that?
I don't know exactly, but they had those, I think, 3 or 4 wins in a row when Graham Potter first got in. And then, there was actually two periods when they went 3 losses in a row.
Wow.
So, that for Chelsea is shockingly bad,
but they do have to head back to Stamford Bridge, all to play for. Graham Potter needs this tie, because I know they said they're going to give him time, but eventually, you're going to need results to buy you even an extra couple months. You can't just keep losing and be like, I got time, especially at Chelsea. What do you think is going to happen at the Bridge?
You know what? I think I do back Chelsea to take this one. I'm going to go 2-0.
2-0 Chelsea?
Yeah.
I think that Dortmund are gonna pull it off here. I think it'll be 1-1. They're in really good form in the Bundesliga, right there,
True,
fighting
yeah.
for the title for the first time in what feels like years that they're actually there. And I think that Union being there also adds something else, like an extra team that you have to worry about for Bayern. I think that they're really going to push themselves, motivate themselves. I think they could get it'll be like a 1-1 draw, and they'll just pull through 2-1 on aggregate.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's move on to my game from that. It's Club Brugge Benfica.
The know-it-alls derby.
The know-it-alls derby. The two teams we had picked to impress and shock people.
If
in
you've
the
been a
Champions
fan
League.
for a long time of
Yeah,
this podcast, which I'm sure there's hundreds of them? Thousands maybe.
I wish.
But yeah, we did pick these two teams as two teams that really surprised us and impressed us in the group stage. But yeah, what are they looking like now in the knockout stage?
So I think Benfica, of course, they lost Enzo Fernandez in the winter, which in my opinion was a huge loss. But they seem to still be rolling. They won at least their last 5 games are all wins in Liga NOS. They're still way ahead of rival Sporting and Porto. Roger Schmidt just has them firing. They played really well again against Club Brugge. I thought Club Brugge had maybe the first 20 minutes where it seemed like things weren't going to break down. It wasn't like they controlled the game or had a good spell. It just seemed like, okay, maybe they can hold on to this. And then kind of just Benfica kept going. I think they ended up with close to 70% possession, maybe 6 or 7 times the amount of shots that Brugge ended the game
Wow.
in. I think Brugge only managed 4 shots the whole game.
That's
And
a
Benfica was
shutout.
touching the
And
20s.
that was in Bruges as
That
well,
was
right?
in Bruges as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Scott Parker, God bless him, the man who's failed forwards or failed upwards the most successfully of all time. How do you lose 9-0 to with Bournemouth and you're coaching in the Champions League round of 16. He's not getting a click out of, in my opinion, after when you look at the squad, it's probably the least talented squad, but that doesn't mean they don't have players. Noah Lang starts for that team. He starts for that team who was very good in the group stages.
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing this just before as well. I mean, I think I brought this up as well when we brought these teams up as surprise teams, and that was that even when they beat Porto 4-0, they had less XG, less expected goals than Porto. In every single game, they were technically the worst team, and what kept them in it was pretty much Mignolet.
Yeah. And, the magic's got to run out, and unfortunately, Scott Parker does not have any magic going for him. And I think, going back to Lisbon, the fans are going to be up for it. It's a big tie. Benfica can be in the quarterfinals. I didn't check when the last time it was, but I'm assuming it's been a few years since they found
I can't remember a time when
they have been, So I think they're going to win 3-0 at home, dispatch them 5-0 overall in aggregate. I think it's pretty much a tie is dead, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just didn't see enough. It wasn't like a 2-0 that you're like, Bruges, maybe.
Yeah.
No, it was...
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 Benfica. I think they might just shut up shop after two.
Yeah, it could happen as well. Let's move on to then this week's games. The games on Tuesday, which saw... Real Madrid play Liverpool in what my opinion was the game of the Champions League round of 16 so far, by far. What are your thoughts?
I mean, what a game. 5-2 Real Madrid, 2-5 it ended. An absolute capitulation, I think you can call it, from Liverpool. Well, let's run through the main points. I mean, Alisson, Courtois, 2 of the best keepers in the world. What are you doing? I could have done better than that.
I did say to you, I think when you compare, of course, both huge mistakes. You can't do that. But if you compare them, Alisson's mistake, in my opinion, is so much worse than Courtois'.
I mean, I don't know that I think it's if you either of them, any world-class goalkeeper does that, either of the mistakes.
And they almost got, Courtois got lucky that Alisson made the mistake afterwards because then the headlines weren't on him.
No, and his team won 5-2.
And his team won 5-2.
Yeah. Other than that, Gomez, again, exposed for how poor he really is.
He was really bad this game. But I thought Van Dijk was also pretty poor on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
The whole back line except, I would say, Robertson defending were pretty poor. Because Trent, creatively, I thought looked really good that game. He's played a lot of long balls and stuff, but defensively, Vinny Jr. rinsed him again.
Yeah, and Vinny Jr. obviously really good in that game. Benzema, what composure to go around the keeper, like that. But yeah, it's just it really shocked me because I think I made a prediction on this one.
We both had predicted 2-1 to Liverpool.
Yeah, coming off 2 wins, and then they went up 2-0 in what was it, 15 minutes or something like that? Yeah,
even less. Yeah.
And so to end up 5-2, like that just sort of encapsulates how poor this season has been for Liverpool.
It sums it up perfectly. For Liverpool,
they've gone from and. It was a Real Madrid. It's a Real Madrid team as well that isn't performing at their best.
They're
either,
11 behind Barcelona.
Yeah,
in La Liga.
Eight behind.
Eight behind Barcelona.
So yeah, it was big shock. As well. And I don't really know what to add other than Liverpool look the worst that I've ever seen them really. In
a while, under Klopp. Definitely under Klopp, I would say they. Even because when you compare it to Klopp's first teams, obviously not nearly as talented or as embedded with what Klopp wanted to do with that team. But you could argue that team, because of their low expectations, are performing way better than what this team is like. Like this is easily the worst team he's had since he's been
in terms of
coaching
talent
them.
in the squad,
in terms of talent
and what he's getting out of them.
Because I think everyone expected them to be fighting
for the title
again, and fighting for this Champions League title.
And I think a lot of the blame has been put on Darwin Nunez, but
which doesn't make any sense because he's a young striker who is showing that he can get open, can get shots off. And he still scored. He scored a nice goal against. He scored a
great goal against Real Madrid.
It was a really nice goal against Real Madrid. So, excuse me. I think that to blame him, the midfield is completely dead. Like I don't know what's going on with Fabinho. Like Vajetic, the Spanish kid, wasn't that bad, but clearly showed that he's 18 years old.
But I think we got to speed this up again a little bit.
Move it up again.
So, I mean, Liverpool have come back from 3 goals down in the Champions League before in recent memory.
But this is not.
This is not one of those times. No, you're not going to go to the Bernabeu. You're not going to do that. So I think Real Madrid will actually win the second leg as well. I'm going to go 2-1 Madrid in the. So
I think it'll be like
7-3.
7-3 on aggregate. I feel like it'll be like a 3-2 Madrid win just because Liverpool know that they have to go for it. They're going to be so open, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do score, but that Madrid just manages to do exactly the same thing.
And also Madrid is so deadly on the counter.
So that's what with Vinny, like Modric still running the show. He was so good again at Anfield, just so good again. He's been so good. The other game that happened that night was Frankfurt-Napoli. And that game has maybe less to talk about because, again, it was a story of one side completely dominating their opposition.
And also a bit, one man I've heard as well, Kevin Klitschko, really put on a show.
Well,
maybe not one man, but he did have a really good game.
He did have a good second half, I would say. The first half, it seemed like Frankfurt had kind of figured out how to defend against him. They were putting those over-the-top through balls they like to use, and Kevin Klitschko was struggling to get to them. His dribbling wasn't really finding itself. He missed a penalty in the first half. But Frankfurt just looked like a team that is nowhere near the level that Napoli is right now. Napoli are proving to be maybe the best team in Europe when you compare them to how the Giants are looking. PSG's not looking that good. Bayern's been drawing and losing a lot in the league. City are not as good. Liverpool, Real Madrid, we talked about, are behind in La Liga. And Napoli, are just this machine.
They're just not letting up.
No, they're just steamrolling everybody.
Constant,
And Osimhen, honestly, he's not going to get the respect he deserves because he doesn't play for one of the big two in... he's getting the respect he deserves, don't get me wrong, but he's not going to get the level. He's, in my opinion, amongst the best strikers in the world right now. He's that elite at the moment. He has to be up there with the Harry Kanes, the Benzemas, the Lewandowski. His production has been insane. He won the penalty. He scored the first goal. And he's just so fast, so strong. He's like Mbappe almost, but in a different kind of mold. And he just offers so much as well creatively. He presses hard. He's such a great striker. And I think any team in the Premier League would be, if you're shelling $100 million for Mudryk, I don't see why, if you're desperate for a striker, you're not showing like 120. If you're United,
I
or
would,
if you're an Arsenal,
I would love to see him.
120 on
United shirt.
Osimhen, I think
Yeah.
is like he changes teams. He's been so good.
He would. I reckon he'd fit perfectly. In the
Yeah,
Man
with
United
what
attack,
United
yeah.
likes to do.
Because he can
yeah.
hold up the ball. He's strong. He's very strong. Yeah.
And fast
And
too.
very- oh,
He's
so
a freak
fast. Yeah,
athlete playing at
yeah.
striker.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what we need. And I think is what more than ever, I think these players who are just gifted athletes are
starting to make more of an impact in the modern game.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's fun because
It's
when you
yeah.
see these guys go on runs, you're just amazed. Like
Yeah,
Menges run
yeah.
against against Bayern and stuff.
But yeah,
But
let's prediction. second leg.
Prediction, yeah, they're going back to the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium in Naples. Like I think they're gonna win 4-0. I think they're gonna kill them 6-0 on aggregate. Like that's what
Okay.
I wrote down. In my
I'm gonna go 3-0.
3-0.
Yeah, they'll cruise through.
Let's go to your last game then. The one that happened
What's that?
For us was 2 nights ago on Wednesday night, and that would be Inter Porto
Inter
at the
Porto.
San Siro.
Yeah. So yeah, I again a game that I didn't watch. And it ended up 1-0 Inter. Romelu Lukaku with a very strange goal. Heads it off the upright. It comes back to him, and he puts it in. So he finally gets a goal. But yeah, Inter they didn't dominate the game for sure. I mean, Porto definitely had a couple of really good chances, and one of them, I think Onana, probably man of the match or thereabouts, because he made a great double save. There's a Porto player, I think is it Taremi?
Taremi, the Iranian striker.
Yeah, so I think maybe not him, but someone takes a shot, gets blocked by a defender, but Onana's already gone down to save it. He's quick to get back to his feet. Then Taremi has a shot. He saves that. It goes back to another Porto player. He shoots, and he gets back on his feet. Another save, double save. It was a really good goalkeeping action there. But yeah, I don't know how this one's actually going to turn out in the second leg because, yeah, like I said, Inter didn't dominate, and it was at the San Siro. Inter's not having a great season either.
No, they're finding form, and Lautaro, since he's come back from the World Cup, has been playing very well.
He did not play well against Porto.
Porto.
No, he missed actually one sort of chance that looked like a really good chance initially, but he hit it so far away that it was like
kind of a wasted
it didn't look like a
chance.
really good chance. But had he actually put it on target, you would have been like, you should be scoring from that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really know how the second leg is going to turn out back in Porto, right?
Yeah,
in
it
Portugal,
is in Porto.
Yeah.
It's a tough one to call. I agree with you. I thought the game was quite cagey, and it basically seemed like an Inter Porto game. What I had in mind would happen, like
exactly.
a 1-0 result. I think it's gonna be without Otavio as well because he was red carded in this game. It's gonna be tough for Porto to break an Inter side that is going just to defend, you know.
Bastoni did play was
exactly.
really good.
They have a
in the
very
game as
good
well,
back three, and if Onana's in this form, I think that Inter would probably go into the Odragao and just play for the draw, which is different to how they probably played this game, which they did try to score goals.
Yeah,
set
and
chances up.
The most of Porto's chances were coming on the counter as well,
Exactly.
from what I could tell.
And I don't see Inter being that open, like, oh, let's get another goal. I think that they would prefer to just like shut shop, play like, just counterattacking Inter football.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Yeah.
So what do you have it going?
I think I might go another 1-0 win for Inter in the second leg.
Okay.
Maybe they get one later on the counter. But yeah, I don't see Porto taking enough to Inter to be able to get a goal and then get another goal as well. Yeah.
I'm going 0-0. I think Inter go through on 0-0.
That's
They
a good
manage to
shout,
shut shop. Let's move on to the last game, and I'm not going to go into it too much because it already pissed me off anyways, and there's no point of wasting your time listening
Made me pretty happy.
about Man City's one dimension and lack of not lack of creativity, just lack of versatility.
A lack of being able to play football.
Basically, I mean, that first half, we literally just do not. First of all, I don't know if Haaland has played like a really mean prank or that people just like dislike him. Or
he's like, I'm gonna score 37 goals in 15 games.
Games,
But
and
then
then
for the rest of the season, I'm going to score nothing. Like,
But I mean it more like, I don't know what he did. If he like maybe stole one of his teammates' girlfriends, or like slept with Pep's wife. I don't know what's going on, what Haaland did behind the scenes, but nobody wanted to give him the ball. It seemed like every time it's either let's give him like the stupidest ball to try and chase, or we're not going to cross it into him.
But do you think that maybe that's also a product of how City are playing at the moment, that they're so reliant on Haaland that teams are like, well, all we have to do is just make sure we stay super close to him.
It honestly could
we
be
limit the input to Haaland, and we can shut City down as well.
It honestly could be that, because I thought many times while I was watching the game that Mahrez was very open on the right, and for some reason we were not spreading the ball out there. Mahrez took man of the match. I mean, he scored a good goal, don't get me wrong, but the goal also came kind of out of nowhere, because, we had, 75% possession in the first half? But what did we do with it?
If I'm being honest, it was a really boring game.
It was a very boring game. And I think, in my opinion, we really did not... I wouldn't have been surprised if it ended 2-1 Leipzig, considering that one big chance that fell to the fullback. If that lands to Szoboszlai... I think that's how you say his name. Szoboszlai. If it lands to him, if it lands to Nkunku, to Timo Werner, they're probably putting that one away. But it landed up to Heinrichs, who was a fullback, and he put it wide. Gvardiol, I thought, had a really good game, and Leipzig in general were the better team the second half. Saying that, let's go back to the Etihad. De Bruyne will be fit. And that's, De Bruyne will be fit. That's basically my solution, and we're going to win because De Bruyne will be fit.
In my opinion, it shouldn't even matter, because you were saying a lot we watched this game together, and you were saying a lot during this game, like, I don't know if we're going to be okay, we're missing blah, blah, blah. You guys, even without De Bruyne, have the better team by such a big margin.
I do agree, but it's literally our plan used to be like, okay, let's try and get everyone involved, see if we can create chances. And if that fails, give it to De Bruyne, he'll make something happen. Now that's basically our first choice. Give it to De Bruyne, who's going to give it to Haaland. And if that fails... then we don't really do anything else. Like, okay, give it to Mahrez, who'll try to cut in and shoot, or give it to Grealish, who'll
do the same
and shoot. Exactly, who'll do the same. Also, no substitutions again from Pep.
I don't know what that was about.
I don't know if he because sometimes when you play career mode on FIFA, and I don't know if Pep does or not. But when you play FIFA career mode, you have a team A and a team B, right? You have your team that you're going to play in the Prem against the Wolves, the Villas, the Brentfords. Well, those teams are much better. Like, I'm talking like the Bournemouths, the Norwich, the really low teams, because you have that midweek Champions League quarterfinal against Madrid, right? So you rotate and you're like, no subs, I need everyone fit for that game. That's not how it works in real life, Pep. Stop playing FIFA career mode, man. Make a fucking sub. I've had enough. 80 minutes, no fucking subs. That's enough. I know the sub bench was like, the list was depleted, like not a lot of...
He has Julian Alvarez on the bench,
but that's
right?
what I mean. Like, it wasn't our strongest bench, but Foden was also on the bench.
Foden was on the bench.
You don't take Grealish off. He was having a great game. But at least have, like, I don't know, just take Mahrez out. Like, we just didn't have the legs anymore at the end. And... playing Bernardo at CDM instead of Gundogan. I know Bernardo is like a workhorse and he's basically like the Duracell bunny. He's going to run the whole pitch. But like, we have better, like, he's much better suited when he's up there, you know, especially that we're missing the creativity from De Bruyne. Just a poor game plan. Again, playing that stupid 3 at the back. Anyways, we're going to go back to Manchester. I think we still going to win. I think we win 3-1 on the night. I don't think that we're going to just roll them over, but we take it 4-2 on aggregate.
Yeah, I think 3-1. I'm going to go the same. I think that's a pretty fair prediction. Actually, 2-0, just to go with something different.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
But that about wraps it up. I think this episode was way longer than we thought. We didn't put a timer on it, but we hope that you still enjoyed it. Drop a like, a comment, share with your friends. Let us know who you have going through to the next round of the Champions League, and we will catch you soon.